Meet Oscar. At age 3 months old, he made his way to Wisconsin from Georgia through the help of the Wisconsin Humane Society. Every year, more than 6.5 million animals are put in shelters and put up for adoption, 3.3 being dogs. Oscar is one of those 3.3 million. Today, we'll see another successful adoption story, and we'll also learn how other dogs make their way to Wisconsin from the south, so stay tuned.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into Ruff Rescues. I'm your host, Keith Smith. Most people couldn't imagine living in a home without their four-legged friend. In fact, nearly half of all households across the U.S. own a pet companion. Even with so many homes caring for animals, there are still millions of homeless pets that find their way into shelters. Some are strays, some are surrendered by their owners, and others are obtained from cruelty situations. Of these shelter animals, each year approximately 1.5 million are euthanized. Adopting, fostering, and rescuing prevents these animals from being killed. Here to discuss her small part in saving a few animals' lives is Rebecca Larson. Thanks for joining us today, Rebecca.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, can you tell me what made you choose to adopt and rescue?
I actually have a dog and 2 cats, and it was my choice to adopt just because I knew that I would be saving a life, and I did my research, and you know, there wasn't a specific breed that I wanted, but I knew I wanted a companion, and so now we have our lovely animals that greet us every day. We love them.
Great. Why do you think it's important to adopt?
I think it's important just for several reasons. I think that there's so many animals out there that need a good home, and they have so much love to give, and there's also, you know, you don't necessarily want to give your money to breeders, right, or to, we've all seen those terrible commercials, you know, where dogs are abused, and you know that when you're going to an adoption place that you're getting a pet that's been screened and is healthy and ready to be loved.
How does it feel knowing you've helped save these animals' lives?
It feels so good, and I know that they, in turn, are happy to be part of our lives.
Why do you enjoy having the pets?
You know, when you have a bad day, or you know, you just need somebody that has no, you know, you just want somebody to cuddle with.
That unconditional love.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. Or you're, you know, right now it's winter months, somebody to warm my lap, or
right,
just kind of be a good distraction. And my dog is great for exercise too.
Really quick, do you think you'll adopt again in the future?
Definitely.
Oh, wonderful. One local rescue that is making efforts to save animals is Lucky Mutts Rescue. Having seen so many animals in need, some local women started a small shelter here in Milwaukee. Little did they know that their efforts would turn into something much bigger than they anticipated.
I started Lucky Mutts Rescue in April of 2015 with 2 other friends and my daughter, with the intent on saving some dogs. Nothing large scale, just, you know, if we could save a few hundred dogs a year, 100 dogs, that was what we were after. We just wanted to make a difference. And down south, there's such a need for it that, you know, we thought we could help. We never set out to save X amount of animals. We started small. We thought we'd stay small, and it's gotten so much bigger. Any dog can come with baggage. Rescue dogs deserve a chance. You know, without people out here like us, like our rescue and other people giving them a chance, they'd be euthanized. You know, it takes, some of them take a couple days to come out of their shells. They can come in so scared the first day. By day 3, they're happy-go-lucky and great. They just need a chance. You know, we've seen some really terrible, terrible things. And to see a dog come in that you just completely shut down and to see it go to a forever home is just, it's amazing. People can help by volunteering their time, their talents at a local animal shelter for a rescue, transporting. There's all kinds of ways you can help. We couldn't do it without the volunteers. They're amazing. They make Lucky Mutts. And in the future, I mean, we just want to continue to save dogs. It's not about the numbers, it's about the dogs.
Here to tell us more about homeless animals and how people just like you and me can make a difference in an animal's life is Laurie Eastman, one of the leading volunteers at Lucky Mutts Rescue. Thanks for joining us today, Laurie.
Thanks for having me, Keith.
So, my first question for you is, why do you even pull dogs from out of state? Aren't there enough in Wisconsin that need homes?
We're really fortunate in Wisconsin. Things that happen down south don't happen here. We are constantly bombarded with emails, requests through Facebook, phone calls, begging us for help. I am not aware of a single shelter in Wisconsin that is euthanizing pregnant dogs or litters of healthy puppies because they don't have space or resources. And unfortunately, down south, it happens every single day.
So we're really blessed.
Yes, we're very fortunate here. And that's part of the reason why we're also trying to spread the word about what happens down south, because we have the ability to make a difference down there because we are more fortunate here.
Can you explain a little more on where the shelter dogs come from?
They end up in the shelters a bunch of different ways. Some are owner surrenders. I got a dog, I don't want them anymore, they're costing me too much money, I don't have time for them, they have too much energy, so they turn them into the shelter. Unfortunately, a tiny shelter that's already over capacity, someone walks in and signs owner surrender paperwork, there's a good chance they're headed straight for euthanasia. A lot of dogs are brought in as strays, whether it be they're picked up by the police or the animal control officers in the area, or people who don't want to pay the surrender fees will bring in their own dogs and claim their strays. Then there's also dogs that are seized either from criminal cases, cruelty cases, hoarding cases as well. So there's lots of different ways that dogs can end up in the shelters, unfortunately.
What is some advice you can give for someone who's looking for a dog?
Don't base your decision on looks. You need to find a companion who's going to mesh with your lifestyle. So that would be energy level, needs. So if you're looking for a running partner, you don't want a couch potato dog. But on the other hand, if you want somebody who, okay, I just got home from a long day at work, I want to sit on the couch, I want somebody to cuddle with that I can pet or brush and just hang out, you don't want a border collie because you're not going to get along, you're going to be miserable, and so is the dog. And unfortunately, I think that's where a lot of the owner surrenders come from is, oh my God, that dog is beautiful. And it's the lifestyle and the true match.
Right, not knowing the breed.
Yeah. And we work really hard to try to make those matches more based on personality, energy level, things like that, versus, oh, I just really like the look of that dog.
And what can you say to people who say pet store puppies need a home too?
When you get a puppy from a pet store, you're encouraging bad behavior. The dogs that are in pet stores come from breeders who put profits over the welfare of the dogs. Welfare of the dogs is secondary if it's even a priority at all. They're there to turn a profit. Reputable breeders who actually care about their dogs will never let their puppies go to a pet store. In rescue, we are all volunteers. None of us makes a dime. We give our time, our energy, and our hearts to this. Everything we do is about the welfare of the dogs.
And when you get a dog from a pet store, how is that different from adopting? Because pet stores can offer vaccines too, like a rescue can. What do people not know about that?
They'll tell you that they're vaccinated and they're healthy, but just do some Googling. You will hear all kinds of horror stories about people who spent thousands of dollars on a purebred puppy from a pet store, and they'll have all kinds of medical issues. And people have had puppies die 2 weeks later, things like that.
That's horrible.
Yeah. Our dogs, they come with all their age-appropriate vaccinations based on the age that they are at the time they're adopted, spayed or neutered, microchipped. If they're too young to be spayed or neutered, we actually give our adopters a certificate where they can go to one of our partner vets and get that taken care of when they reach the appropriate age.
Awesome.
So if you get a dog from a pet store, you're going to pay for that yourself. It's not included.
All right, we gotta move on.
Okay.
The process of rescuing dogs is no easy feat. There are hundreds of hours and countless volunteers dedicated to saving these canines across the country. This past January, Lucky Mutts brought in 30 dogs on one cold, wintry Saturday morning. Let's take a look into the process of an intake day and how some dogs from down south get a second chance here in Wisconsin.
Lucky Mutts Rescue has been pulling from Oklahoma for, I think, almost since the beginning of it, for a few years now. We pull dogs from what we would call a high kill shelter. There are various shelters that we pull from. Some range from about 4 spaces. If you can envision a giant kennel, no building, no heat, no electricity, nothing to keep them warm, nothing to keep them cool in summer. Some of the shelters, a dog has on average 3 to 21 days. After the 3 to 5 days, if they haven't found a rescue, a lot of times they don't have a chance. And that's where Lucky Mutts Rescue steps in, and we will pull dogs that would not have had a chance otherwise. An average intake at Lucky Mutts is the dogs arrive. We have volunteers that unload and walk them and then bring them to the crates where they have food and water and blankets all set up for them. If the dogs need to, they then get baths, and each dog gets its turn in the vetting room where we look them all over once again and we give them any vaccines and their microchip. Rescuing these dogs is important to me because a lot of times they don't have a voice. They don't have a choice of the situation they've been put into, and for a lot of the ones in the tiny, small shelters, rescue is the only option. Volunteering is important, even if it's an hour to fostering. Fostering a dog and taking a dog into your home, and some of these dogs have not known love before. It makes a huge difference to them, and it can make a huge difference to yourself. One of my hardest to say goodbye to as a foster, and that has made a huge difference, was a cattle dog. He had some medical issues, and I didn't know at the time that I would be giving him the home for the rest of his life. He wound up getting cancer, and I was so very thankful that I was able to, between me and my dogs, who were his buddies, give him a home for the rest of his life. And he was happy, whether it was for a year with our rescue or whether it was the last few months. He was a happy guy who was loved and knew that. And rescuing shows dogs who've maybe not seen love before be loved and be happy in a warm home.
It's really tough to imagine what these dogs experience and go through outside of Wisconsin. I'm sure they are very thankful rescues and passionate volunteers are there to help save them. So can you tell me, Laurie, how often do you guys do an intake?
We have a regular Oklahoma intake once a month, and then when we're asked for additional help, we have on occasion done them more frequently. After Hurricane Harvey, we brought up a load of dogs from Texas. We have taken dogs from Puerto Rico repeatedly, and we also have pulled some dogs from the Everglades in Florida as well.
Very cool. And what's the transportation like? How do they get here?
When we do our own transports to Oklahoma, we have our transport van and the plastic airport crates. They're loaded into the van. They're all secured into the van. And so we go down, we load up the dogs. Sometimes there's a couple different stops, places where we pick them up. And then on the way back, we actually drive overnight because then the dogs sleep most of the time. It's less stressful for them, more stressful for us. But, and then partway through the night, we stop, they all get walked, they get a little something to eat, some water, things like that to keep them hydrated. And then when we arrive the next morning, we have volunteers waiting to walk them, bathe them, feed them, everything else they need that day before they go off to the next place.
Very cool. And what kind of situations are these dogs coming from? Like what kind of shelters?
Here in Wisconsin, we hear shelter, we think of MATC or the Humane Society. And nothing like that exists down there. One of the shelters we pull from, if you can really call it a shelter, it's basically a cobbled together shed. It's not well protected from the elements. It's a concrete slab where they kind of built a building around it with scrap materials. Another shelter we went to is literally a cinder block building that has wire crates in it. And there's one worker there, and if he can't make it to the shelter that day, nobody gets out, nobody gets fed.
It's horrible. And what kind of things have you seen in these dogs that you rescue? What kind of ailments do they have?
We've been really fortunate. I mean, most of the dogs we bring up are relatively healthy. You'll have things like kennel cough, fleas, ticks, things like that. As you saw with the segment with Jen, Domino unfortunately had cancer, and that was really hard on all of us. We've got one puppy right now who has entropion, so that's where her eyelashes are growing kind of funny and they irritate her eyes, but she's getting that fixed on Friday. We've got one dog who's got, he's actually in congestive heart failure right now, but he's in hospice home.
And now speaking of Jen and Domino, she mentioned being a foster. Can you tell me what that entails?
Basically, it's opening up your home to a dog in need. So you take them home, you give them love and security and safety. Lucky Mutts, we provide all our fosters with food, a crate if they need it, any other supplies. You're basically just giving the dog a place to crash until we find their forever home.
So you really are saving these animals' lives. Coming up, we'll be joined by a special studio guest. But first, we learn about how saving one particular dog has saved a veteran, and how she has changed his life by helping him cope with PTSD.
A friend of mine had brought Hippo to the dry hooch over by the VA hospital. And I said, man, I sure would like to get that dog. It's a nice dog, you know. Whoa. She said, well, you know, hey, if she's still around, you can get her. Well, it had been 3 months, so I figured somebody got her. Well, when I didn't find the dog at the Humane Society, I immediately called my friend Stephanie and said, is Hippo still available? And she said, yeah. I said, okay, well, I want to see her again. And when she brought her this particular time, she came right up to me and licked me, and then went on about her business. So I said, well, that's the one I want. And that's how I ended up meeting her. She came from down south. She's 4 years old. And for almost 3 years, she was in a shelter. And when a dog is like that, they have security issues. You know, they want to make sure that, okay, are you gonna keep me? You know, so we had to go through that, but she's just really now, you know, realizing that, no, you're not going nowhere. Well, she does a few things that kind of surprised me since I got her. You know, I'm also diabetic. So times when my sugar gets low, that she won't leave me, she'll stay by me. That's how I know it's low, because she just won't leave. Then when it's high, she just licks my arm, so that's how I know that. And she just started doing it on her own, you know, which is a blessing. But her major duty is, you know, to get me out the house and move me around, so I just won't stay in the house. Because I mean, sometimes I just get into that little funk, because I have, you know, the condition that, you know, I don't care, but she makes it happen. Sometimes when I really getting depressed and it's really coming on, she'll get her toy and come bump me. You know, it's time to play. You need to get up, you need to move around. You know, if I'm laying in the bed too long in the mornings, she's like, hey, it's time for you to take me out, you know. And as soon as I take her outside, boom, you know, it just changes. You know, now I'm ready to face the day. I was just looking for an animal, okay? I wasn't, you know, looking for a rescue dog, but I'm glad I got one, and I try to turn everybody else on to it. But these dogs, they don't deserve what they get. They don't deserve the life they have. And all you need to do is love them, and they'll love you because you're saving their lives. And I wouldn't go any other way.
Stories like Hippo's prove just how remarkable rescue dogs can be. Her incredible journey from bouncing between shelters for 3 years to finally ending up here and meeting her owner completely by chance. What a happy ending for her and Ray, and that's what rescuing is all about. Another little lady that has had a tough life before coming here is Rose. So tell me a little something about Rose, Laurie.
That shelter I mentioned earlier, that is really just cobbled together on a concrete slab, that's where we found Rose. She has skin allergies, and her skin was so inflamed, she then got yeast issues on top of it, and where she was at, she never had any chance of getting better. She wasn't protected from the elements, the rain, the cold, anything like that. And unfortunately, as rough as she was when we got her, a lot of rescues wouldn't take a chance on her because they don't know what's involved with getting her healthy. And we took that chance and we brought her to Wisconsin. And she's a wonderful dog, and when she is ready to go and be adopted, she's gonna make somebody a great companion.
And how does Lucky Mutts help other rescues or shelters and their dogs?
Our partner vets, or partner shelters in Oklahoma, we do everything we can to help them. We've helped fundraise for them when we get generous donations of food or supplies. We've shared when we have, you know, extra blankets, towels, toys, collars and leashes. We do take things down there for them as well because they're struggling.
And what sort of benefits are there to adopting?
You get a best friend for life, and you save a life. I don't really know what else you need.
Right? Recently in California, there was a new law put into place where pet stores can only sell dogs from shelters. Do you think a ban like that could happen in Wisconsin?
I would love to see it happen. I would hope it would happen. Right now, I don't know if that's the path we're headed on. Unfortunately, in Wisconsin, we still have puppy mills that are legal. I think that's got to be the battle we fight first, is getting rid of the puppy mills.
And other than that, what steps can we take to make that happen here in Wisconsin?
Let your legislators know that that's not okay. I mean, profits should not come before the life of a living creature, no matter what it is. You know, they feel, they love, they care, and we need to remember that, and we need to take care of them.
And when people come to adopt from you, how do you go about screening those people to make sure that they're taking the dog in for a good purpose?
On our website, we have an application that they fill out first. That gets reviewed, and then we actually do a home visit with every potential adopter. And the home visit is just a chance to have more of a one-on-one conversation. What is your lifestyle like? What are you looking for? What are your expectations for a dog? That helps us understand what kind of dog is going to be a good fit for your lifestyle, because that's the most important thing, is making that great match. Not just, we're going to find a dog a home, we're going to find a dog the right home.
Now, earlier you mentioned that we're very blessed in Wisconsin that the Humane Society and shelter aren't that different here. But how is that different if someone were to adopt a dog coming to you versus going to MATC?
I mean, giving a dog a home is giving a dog a home. You save a life from MATC, you're still saving a life. All those dogs that need somewhere to go are going to end up somewhere. So as long as we keep moving them and adopting them out through the system, we're all working for the same goal.
Now tell me a little bit more about Rose here. How has she been growing into her own since you've taken her in?
Well, she's a little nervous with all the lights and everything, but when we got her, she was missing over 75% of her fur. So she's still patchy, she's, you know, not 100%, but we had no idea she was actually going to be kind of a fluffy, long-haired dog when she arrived. So when that started growing in, we were all very pleasantly surprised, and she's actually kind of brindle too, which we didn't know either. She has gotten a little less shy, a little more confident, but we're still working on it. I think because she is still pretty itchy, So she can't always be aware of her surroundings, so she gets distracted by that. So sometimes she almost startles herself. But we're working on it. Her foster's great about trying to get her exposure and introduce her to people and situations.
And what kind of personality is she taking on? Is she going to be that active dog for someone who wants to go running, or is she going to be the I'm going to jump on your lap at the end of a long day?
A little bit of both. She likes to rough and tumble play a little bit with her foster siblings, but she also loves to cuddle and just hang out. Uh-oh. The camera moves.
The camera's moving. It's okay, Rose.
Oh, are you protecting me from the camera? You're okay. Good girl. Come here. There you go. Good girl.
And what kind of play do the dogs get when they're at your shelters?
We're actually foster-based, so dogs, pretty much as a rule, don't stay at our adoption center. They're all in foster homes. Well, somebody who may crash for a couple of nights between, you know, their foster's out of town or they're hitching a ride to a vet. But no, our dogs stay in homes.
Very cool. Well, that's all the time we have on this episode of Ruff Rescues. I'd like to thank our guests, Rebecca and Laurie, and Rose for joining us today, and to you, our viewers, for tuning in. Saving dogs is something that all of us here are very passionate about. If you would like to help out and save animals' lives, please reach out to your local shelters and offer your time or talents. Anyone can make a difference in a homeless animal's life.